Hello, I'm Dr. Russell Dawn, President of Concordia University Chicago. Thank you for tuning in to today's Cougar Athletics broadcast. We take great pride in the strength of both our athletic and academic programs, which are rooted in our steadfast commitment to Jesus Christ. Dedicated to the liberal arts as a foundation of a high-quality college degree, we believe education should form individuals for service to their neighbors. This makes Concordia Chicago an exciting and fulfilling place to study, work, learn, and grow. Learn more today by visiting cuchicago.edu. Thank you, and go Cougars!
Cougar fans, another edition of Coach's Weekly. My name is Alan Mateo, and once again I'm joined by Heisman volleyball coach, Coach Greg Manos. How you doing today, Coach?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well, and Coach, you guys are coming off two conference matches this past week. Yesterday you guys played CUW here at home, and then on last Saturday you guys played St. Norbert over here at home as well. And so, not the outcomes that you wanted, but you had some competitive moments within those games. It was pretty close at times, and it seemed like just a few points here and there that just kind of got away from you guys a little bit. But something we talked about the previous week was you guys have been through a lot over the season. You guys are without some of your key players, and you're having to mix and match a lot of different guys that maybe you didn't see having prominent roles during the season, but now they are. And so what I want to highlight is you guys have been able to really been adjustable, flexible, and just kind of what does that tell you about your group in terms of how they compete?
Yeah, this is a really good learning environment for us where our underclassmen, our freshmen and sophomores, are put into situations where they have to thrive or survive. And although, like you mentioned, the outcomes are not what we wanted from the matches, the fact that we're starting what is now a very young core and roster means they're getting that exposure, they're getting that experience. And even though we're having to play through adversity with, like you mentioned, rotational switches, positional adjustments, different alignments based on our side of the net as far as movement, and then also the other side as far as what they do, we're learning. And that's part of the curve that, is part of this college dynamic where sometimes it looks really good and you're seeing big progress, and sometimes we're forgetting some things along the way. But that optimism is still there from a program perspective, and we appreciate the guys just being able to put their heads down, move forwards, and understanding that long term, this is going to really shine when they get through these difficult moments.
Yeah, exactly. And, there's something that we touched a lot about last year with your core being so young. And even though that core is a little bit older now, you're now having to deal with a new core.
Yeah.
And having to put them in these similar situations. And with now you guys having to go into the second half of conference, you still have to play, some pretty good teams. You still have Aurora, MSOE, right? But, you still have a back half of conference that is still very winnable and still very achievable, right? And so, obviously, that you're getting into that must-win territory here. But how do you get into a mode with the guys and where you don't make that moment too big, or you don't put that much pressure to be able to go out and get it done, even though you know what has to be done?
We have a lot of guys who work their tails off, who have really high expectations for themselves and really want to achieve really high levels on the court, whether it's individualized, group achievements. They have those goals, and those still stand true. So it's just making sure from our coach's perspective and our program perspective that the maturity of how we approach it and the realistic idea of how to go about that are achieved. So making sure we're paying just hyper focus into our scouting reports, understanding that now that we're in the middle of that busy season with school and conference play, that we're taking care of ourselves better. I know that sounds simple from a student-athlete perspective of just getting the right sleep, eating correctly, but all of those things are going to add up and be really important so that we can put our best foot forward when we play teams that, like you mentioned, are very competitive, but there's games where if we play at our best, good things are going to happen.
Right.
And the big thing we've been preaching with them as a unit is that the process right now is more important than the final result. because we know that if we are just going about things the right way, if we're improving, keeping our heads down, believing in the process, that the results will happen. But if we get caught up in the moment, in the now, that's when we start to see some hesitation or some falter. And although we're seeing it at times during some of these critical moments, that exposure and opportunity now is going to allow us to find success down the road. So just making sure we keep that positive mindset, recognizing that pressure is a privilege, and understanding that dynamic so that going forwards, we've been there, we've done that, and we know how to really just grab onto those better results.
Yeah, of course, and that's one thing that kind of is vital to understand, is just being able to not get into a space where the what ifs, what if this, what if that, what if all these things happen. Just kind of go, just trust what you said, trust the process, trust in your work, trust in the ability that you have, and just let it be, right? And so you guys have an opportunity now on Friday with Lakeland coming in, and you guys have been very successful against Lakeland the past few years. It's been 5 straight years you guys have won against them, including last year. And so knowing that you'll be at home with the crowd and understanding that it is a big game on both sides, especially with the Naxanies right now. But as I mentioned before, just not making the moment too big, right? Just what kind of message you want to give to the guys in terms of not just necessarily what they need to approach it as, but just going out there just being who they are.
You know, it's really neat where even yesterday we had the president of the university, almost the entire board, as far as just the higher-ups and admin here, and seeing just that amount of support is really inspiring, because you don't see that everywhere. So we have the support net, we have the fan base, we have the game day environment, and it's just for us recognizing, how do we leverage this to our strengths, right? How do we allow this to propel us forwards? How do we use this as positive momentum, and also, like you mentioned, not get too caught up in it, right? We don't need to fear that functionality, that intentionality. Like, we need to use it as leverage and continue moving forward. So we have it better than a lot of people, I'll say that, and we just need to make sure we recognize that and utilize that in the right direction.
Yeah, of course, and we're all very excited to see what you guys do this weekend against Lakeland, as that game will be played here at CUC on Friday. And for more coverage on that, go to cucougars.com. My name is Al Mateo. Once again, joined by Coach Greg Manos. And as always, go Cougars.
Hello, Cougar Nation, and welcome back to Geisman Gymnasium for some more action in men's volleyball. It's the Cougars hosting the number 12 Aurora University Spartans coming up to River Forest tonight for a big late season conference matchup between these two squads. Concordia Chicago on the ropes a bit, had a bit of a March slide, got back on the right track this last Friday, picked up a big win at home over the Lakeland University Muskies. But the Cougars still very much in the back end of that playoff fight. 3-5 in conference right now, a team that started the season looking so promising on the ropes right now. I'm Jonathan Shear with the Cougar Sports Network. Joining me tonight is Alfredo Jaramillo Ruiz. Alfredo, looking at the Cougars, what's the most notable thing about them coming into tonight?
I think that the most notable thing about the Cougars for tonight is the fact that they won their last game, which they had lost their previous game against Concordia, Wisconsin, and then the one before that against St. Norbert. The one against Lakeland was a good thing to bring up back the positivity in the team. And, I mean, we're hoping that they can win this game that will put them closer to being in the playoffs. Right now it's a four-way tie to get the last spot in the playoffs, so we're hoping that this will boost that possibility to finally get a more comfortable spot.
Yeah, winning tonight, though, is going to be a very tough ask. Aurora University, the number 12 Spartans, one of the best teams in the country. This Spartan squad ranked in the top 15 nationally all season long, got as high as number 9 in the AVCA coaches poll last week. Just a week ago. This is a team that was the favorite to win the NAC for most of the season, but in the last week, Alfredo, they've hit a bit of a slide.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw that throughout the season. They had an even 10 winning streak, which was just incredible. It's one of the best teams in the country, but then we do see that they've taken a bit of a dip in the last 3 games. They haven't been just absolute huge losses because they've been really close games. They've gone to the 5th set, but it really has been a blow to this incredible team that is Aurora. But like we said, they have an incredible squad, and we'll see what they can bring to the table.
Yeah, 3 straight 5th set losses for the Spartans. The most recent and out-of-conference matchup against University of California, Santa Cruz. The 2 before that, though, in-conference matchups, 5-set losses to Dominican and MSOE, that MSOE Raiders team currently sitting at the top of the NAC. Before we get going, Alfredo, a quick look at the players tonight. Over on CUC, first things first, there's a guy who's been warming up tonight who I am beyond excited to see back out there. J.R. Stella hasn't played for the Cougars since March 7th. He is back in the lineup tonight. Stella, probably the most lethal arm the Cougars have on the fight line, still leading the Cougars in kills on the season substantially. After missing the last 4 games, he is a huge player to come back for the Cougars, especially in a match like this. Concordia, notably, still without Tyler Hollebeck and Wyatt Anzenberger-Shea. Stella, a big player to come back. Who are you looking at tonight, though, Alfredo?
Today I would say that I'm looking at Leon Godolski. I think he's one of those players that you just can't leave out of this team. He leads in blocks with 53 throughout the season. But, yeah, like you said, Stella is a huge player that we can recover. And, honestly, it's going to be a great watch today.
Yeah, Leon, he's a guy, didn't see too much of the court. He's gotten a lot more playing time with those injuries to Hollebeck, Anzenberger-Shea, and Stella. Him and Alex Ford, those 2 guys who really have been dominating the net. The net for the Cougars has been their strong suit this year. Concordia Chicago in the top 10 nationally in blocks per set. And the guy to look out for over on Aurora's side for that, for me personally, is Solomon Dale. Tied for the lead in blocks per set on that squad. Right at the top of the net, NAC. He's right behind Leon Guzovsky. He's third in the NAC. Guzovsky's second. He's tied for total blocks with Amar Berzovic. That's where I think tonight is going to be decided. We'll talk about that more in just a second. I think Dale's a big name to watch at the net.
Yeah, for me, I would personally pick S.J. Nelson, who leads in kills, and honestly is probably one of the biggest reasons that this Aurora team has been so successful and so good throughout the entire season.
Absolutely, Alfredo. Before we get going here, we'll take a look at our keys to the game for the Cougars, looking to pull off the upset over the number 12 Spartans tonight. Alfredo, what do the Cougars need to do to get the win done at home tonight?
Yeah, this is a very difficult team to go against. It's Aurora. So the thing that they really have to focus on is just not committing any service errors. It's not that they have been struggling. It's just that committing any service errors against a team this difficult to play is just giving them easy free points. And anything that makes you go behind on points, it's gonna really kill you out there.
Yeah, and it's not even just those service errors. It's errors in general. You got to play clean volleyball in a big match for this. For me, I've already talked about it a lot tonight. It's the net. It's the front lines. You've got to win the net. You're not going to win tonight by getting lucky. Aurora, they're too good of a team to make a lot of mistakes, give you those free points. You catch Aurora on a bad night, it's still probably a team that most would take in a match against you. You got to beat them in at least one part of the game. And for the Cougars, why not go to your best part of the game? Like I mentioned, top 10 in the country in blocks per set. They've still looked good at the front line through the last 4 games, and now you get your best hitter on the outside in J.R. Selleback, also one of the tallest players on this team as well. That is a massive addition, but I think in general, you got to focus on the line. If you win the line, you force Aurora to play to the back row, you kind of control the game, and you've got to get those wins where you can get them in a big match like this. Before we head off and get ready for those starting lineups, a quick look at the history between these two matches. Concordia Chicago entered the men's volleyball scene in the NAC in 2019, and they're still winless against the Aurora University Spartans, losing all 7 matchups all time. They've also only won 1 set all time against the Spartans. That set win coming back in 2023 in a game where the Cougars were led in kills by then upperclassman Tyler Hollebeck. Hollebeck still with the Cougars as a grad player, and as we mentioned, still out injured tonight, but one of those kind of trends you've seen as the Cougars have found some continuity with Greg Manos as he sought to rebuild this program. We'll see if the Cougars can pull off the upset and get their first ever win over the Spartans here on the Cougar Sports Network in just a few minutes. I'm Jonathan Shear. Joining me tonight will be Alfredo Jaramillo Ruiz. Don't go anywhere because we'll be right back. Hello, Cougar Nation, and welcome back to Geisman Gymnasium for some Wednesday night action. It's men's volleyball as the Cougars host the nationally ranked number 12 Aurora Spartans in River Forest. Towards that tail end of the conference season, the Spartans looking to get back on the right track after they've fallen on a 3-game losing streak. They've managed to stay ranked at the top of the country. The Cougars had a bit of a slide through the month of March, got a win this last Friday against Lakeland to start getting back on the right track. They would love to continue getting back on the right track with a statement win tonight if they can pull off the upset over the Spartans. All time, the Cougars have played against the Spartans 7 times. They've lost 7 times, and they want to break that trend tonight in a big way. Both teams set to head out onto the floor as Spartan starters are out there. The Cougars head out on the floor. Charlie T. Cougar bouncing off the court, and we are ready to go. I'm Jonathan Shear with the Cougar Sports Network. Joining me tonight is Alfredo Harmelo Ruiz. Will be your voices through the night, as it looks like it will be the Spartans serving to start off the match. Once we get those liberos subbed in, there it is, Luke Brannigan, the libero tonight for the Spartans. Over for the Cougars, number 4, Michael Cardenas, the libero. And we are ready to go. Headed back to serve to start the night for the Spartans is number 24, Logan Brower. On the year, Brower from the line, 6 aces to 26 service errors. As that ball is up and over, received by Kamenar Mosher, setting for Gudzovsky, Leon Gudzovsky. A quick shot to open the scoring for the Cougars, and they draw first blood. It's 1-0 early for CUC.
Yeah, we said it earlier, Leon Gudzovsky, a very important player in blocks, and now this time scoring, just doing an absolutely amazing job.
Brower setting that over to Nelson. That's off the block and down. Aurora will even it up. S.J. Nelson leading this NAC squad in kills. He has been an offense force. His back to serve is Connor Carroll. Received by Cardenas. Mosher's going to set over to Armstrong. Just a bit left. Not able to get the tip, and the Spartans get that lead back 2-1. Carroll sends it over again. Cardenas receives. Mosher, he's going to go back for Johnson. And that eats up Carroll into the bleachers. And Johnson evens it up at 2. He'll head back to serve now as well. Tate Johnson, he's been seeing a lot more of the court with the injuries the Cougars have had lately, and he has been playing incredibly well through that stretch. That's set. Johnson keeps it up. Mosher can't get there as Amar Burcevic gets his first shot of the night in. And with a 1-point lead, Burcevic will head back to serve. And it's an error. Burcevic sends it long, just a bit too much sauce on it. And we're even back up at 3 as Tyrese Armstrong will head back to take the serve for the Cougs. And out onto the court for the first time since March 7th is J.R. Stella. He is the leading attacker for this Cougar squad, and they're incredibly excited to get him back in action. Gato takes the reception. Armstrong keeps it up. Mosher slaps it over. Cougars able to stay alive. Nelson from mid-range. It's tipped at the line.
We'll have to say this is a very back-and-forth game. I really like how this is starting out. You know, it's not one-sided. It's not errors. It's good game. It's a good plays right now.
Absolutely, Alfred. This is a very solid start for the Cougs, and it'll keep on going. S.J. Nelson sends that one long. You're not going to be able to bank on those errors from Aurora all night. Well, the Cougars certainly not complaining about a couple of service errors to start off the match. Alex Ford back to serve for the Cougs. Ball's up. That'll get down. Brower setting that over to Nelson, roaring in, tipped up by Stella. Gato gonna set it over to JR. Stella blocked at the line by Solomon Dale. The net is gonna be a big part of tonight's game. The Cougars, one of the best blocking teams in the nation. Aurora up there as well. Solomon Dale and Amar Berzovic, both over 70 blocks on the year. That's a cross. Cardenas receives. Mosher passing up. Stella from mid-range. Blocked again. Aurora just loading the net over on Stella's side, and they've got a 2-point lead for the first time tonight. Back to serve again is Zuckley, the junior from Hammond, Indiana. Cardenas receives. Mosher setting for Armstrong from the back row. It's tipped, and that'll get into the bleachers. Tyrese Armstrong from range, and the Cougs draw it back within one. Eli Mosher back to serve. Not a strong server, but he gets it over the net. Brower sets that up for Dale, blocked back and out of bounds. Good jump from the Cougs, not the angle you want. Good awareness from Aurora to stay out of the way, and it's back to a 2-point lead.
Yeah, this Aurora team is very motivated to not continue that losing streak, that mini losing streak that they've had, and they want to break it here against CUC.
Mosher setting over to Johnson, who's going to send it long. Focus on getting around the block, and he did so. Doesn't land where he wants it. They're going to call it tipped. Near judge official changing that. So it's a 1-point game. Stella back to serve. That's a long reception. Tipped out of bounds. Brower trying to make the most of it, but he's not able to redirect it enough. Actually, he does redirect it too much, and it lands out of bounds. We're evened up at 7. Stella gets that over. Brower, long set for Carroll. Blocked and down. CUC coming up big at the net, and they take the lead back 8-7.
Absolutely fantastic block. These are the things that CUC has to continue to do the entire game if they want to take a huge advantage of this hurting team of Aurora.
There's another long reception. Get up there, Armstrong. Looking like he's going up to the moon. JR Stella looks fantastic from the service line. The best combination of power and accuracy the Cougars have had back there all season long. And it is leading to some long receptions for the Spartans. Carroll gets that over. Stella keeps it up. Mosher bats it across. They go back for Zuckley. Mosher a long set for Armstrong. Brower setting that up. Nelson from the back row. Cardenas tracks it down. Here's Armstrong again over the block. Brower setting back for Carroll. Stella has it on the back row. Mosher looking for Johnson. Kept in by Zuckley. Brower this time back to Nelson. Blocked, but it'll get out of bounds. That's where you're seeing just how this Aurora team loves to use S.J. Nelson, not the tallest guy on the court, one of the strongest, and you get those set pieces to have him running in from the back corner to just get a lot of power on it so that even when it's blocked, it's so hard to redirect it. 1-point lead for the Cougs, 9-8. Long reception for Armstrong, and a net violation. Tagged on, I think, S.J. Nelson. He's adamant it's not there. Dan Ames stands up. The coach getting the explanation from this table judge. And he sits down and accepts it. 2-point lead for the Cougars, 10-8. Gudzowski with the serve. Brower setting back for Carroll, blocked, but it's out of bounds. Carroll playing the angle perfectly. And Connor Carroll does head back for the serve. Ball is up and over. Kamenar receives. Mosher setting for Ford. Gets a good hit on it. Here's Nelson on the near side to the back corner. A little bit of miscommunication between Kamenar and Mosher. That gets down. We're evened up at 10.
S.J. Nelson is absolutely lethal right there. I mean, he's been lethal all season long, like we mentioned earlier.
That's an ace for Connor Carroll, dropping it in on the near side. Cardenas can't keep it up. And it's a 1-point lead for the Spartans. Carroll continuing to serve. And that's into the net. An error, and it evens back up at 11. Back to serve is Tate Johnson. Brower gonna set it over to Zuckley. Reach into the sky for that one. He gets it around the block. As the Spartans get that 1-point lead back. (12-11) Aurora. Around that midway point of the set. Back to serve for the Spartans is Nathan Kerwin. Received by Kamenar. Mosher setting for Ford. Quick trigger. Brower going back for Nelson. Off the tip. That matchup of Nelson and Armstrong has been going Nelson's way all night long. And Aurora's going to ride that to a 2-point lead again, matching their largest of the night. Kerwin, the sophomore out of Aurora, takes a serve again. Mosher this time setting for Armstrong, who is rejected in a big way by Solomon Dale.
Yeah, this team of Concordia has been doing a pretty good job throughout the entire game, but sometimes you do see that big difference in having such talented players like Aurora has. It's just difficult to compete that way.
Mosher this time going over to Ford, has to track it down. It's off the net, and Aurora is able to return it. A bit of an awkward play. Mosher this time setting for Ford. Another quick trigger! Dropping it in like Chris Paul to the back corner. Just a bit of an awkward play for the Cougs, and it catches Aurora off guard. Draws CUC back within 2. Armstrong will toss it up and send it across. Brower setting over to Zuckley. Oh, and it domes J.R. Stella. And heads out of bounds. As Zuckley's able to evade the block, bring that 3-point lead back. S.J. Nelson back for the serve. Nelson drills that over. Long reception from Armstrong. Brower setting back for Nelson! Rejected! Ford and Stella get up there.
Absolutely fantastic block, making a statement against this Aurora team that the Cougars are not going to give up, and then they can really put them in a difficult position right here.
Ford gets it across. Brower setting for Zuckley. Kept up by CUC. Gato passing back to Stella. A floater to the back corner and just a little too much on it. Back for the serve is Xavier Zuckley. Zuckley tosses it up, drills it over. Armstrong receives. Mosher going to set for Stella, going coast to coast. Brower setting over to Carroll. Mosher this time going for Armstrong from mid row. Armstrong went up early. He's able to get it across. Zuckley from the back row. He went up late. Now Gudzovsky gets the perfect set from Mosher and just drills the laser to the back row. CUC holding station, keeping it at that 2-3 deficit, not letting Aurora build a big gap. As Eli Mosher heads back to serve. That's just an inch long. First service error of the night for CUC as it heads back over to the Spartans.
Yeah, it's those service errors that we mentioned that we cannot give Aurora because those are easy points for them, and those will hurt us in the long run.
14-17 lead. Mosher setting for Gudzowski, reaches up for it, kept up by the Spartans. Back row and miscommunication. Armstrong able to keep it up, but Cardenas was coming over to it, and he's not able to track it down. 4-point lead, largest of the day for the Spartans, as Reese Wojtrowski will continue to serve. Off the net, Stella puts it up. Mosher setting for Stella on the right side. They go to Caro, he's blocked. It's kept up by Brower. Nelson has to send it over from the back row. Mosher passing up, Johnson trying to go to the corner. Brower, he's going back. Nelson, mid-ranger. Rejected. Back and forth by these two squads. Cougars have a chance for a set piece. Johnson gets the kill off the block. Back and forth, and the Cougars get the point back, bringing it back to a 3-point game, 18-15. There's a quick set, kept up by the Spartans. Armstrong drops it in. He finds a gap on the right side. Brannigan can't get there. And the Cougars have it back within 2. 18-16, Aurora. Stella back to serve again. Off the net, kept up by Zuckley. Brower going over to Carroll. Stella keeps it in. Mosher setting over to the near side for Armstrong, who puts way too much on it. And the Spartans up 19-16. Kamenar heads back into the match. Back to serve is Logan Brower. Brower tosses it up and into the net. Not what he's looking for as he hangs his head. Fourth service error of the night for Aurora. And it's a 2-point lead as Leon Gudzowski heads back to serve for the Cougs. Gudzowski gets it across. Brower setting back for Carroll. Kamenar gets there. Mosher looking for Johnson. Pushes it. Tipped. Kept up. Long set for S.J. Nelson. In on the pin. Blocked up by the Cougs. Gudzowski. Mosher. Here's Johnson again. Under the block. And Tate Johnson continuing to find that groove. And it's a 1-point game as Coach Dan Ames is going to call the timeout. They take a break on the floor. The Cougs trailing by 1. We'll take a break here at the Cougar Sports Network. We'll be back in just a minute. (19-18) lead for Aurora. The Cougars starting to find a little bit of a groove and get back into this first set. Leon Gudzowski back to serve. Tosses it up and sends it into the net. Exactly what Aurora wanted out of the timeout. And now Greg Manos is going to call a timeout of his own. You can't take him with you, and he's still got 2 left as the Cougs are going to get a chance to rebound. Alfredo, Aurora's 5 points away from taking set 1. The Cougars only trail by 2. What do you think the Cougs can do to win this set?
They've been playing fantastic. We've seen just pure quality out there. The only thing that I'm still really worried about when it comes to this Cougars team is the service errors or any type of little errors that you give Aurora, because Aurora is not a team that is going to allow you to get away with that. They're going to go for the win. They're going to go for the kill, and they're going to go to try to end this as soon as possible.
Yeah, right now those errors, Cougars losing that margin, barely, but it hasn't cost them too much. Concordia, we've seen them, they're able to hang with Aurora so far. There is a bit of a notable difference when you see those personnel they have out on the court. This team's looked incredibly strong with J.R. Stella out there. And that's just how rotations work in volleyball. You're not going to have him on the court right now. You want to cycle through these next couple rotations, get him back out there if you can, as Connor Carroll sends that away. Mosher setting forward, rejected, off of Cardenas' head. Cougs stay alive. Set back for Nelson, off the block and down. Perfect set piece for Aurora. They lead by 3, 21-18 as Carroll send it away again. And just awkward play on the back row, some miscommunication between Kamenar and Cardenas. And it's a 4-point lead, largest of the set for Aurora, 22-18. Carroll sends it long. You're looking for a breath of fresh air. The Cougars get one. Another service error for Aurora, their 5th of the night. And the Cougars trail by 3. Aurora's 3 away from taking the set, with Tate Johnson back to serve. Gets it over. Brower setting up Berzovic, who sends it wide. The Cougars avoid it, and they reach 20. They trail by 2, and you've got to start picking up those consecutive sets of points at this point in the match.
Yeah, this is a great opportunity for them to close in on that 22 points that Aurora has.
Johnson tosses it up, gets it across. Brower gonna set back for Nelson. Oh, dart to the back corner, S.J. Nelson. About as far back as you can get it. And Aurora leads by 3, 23-20. As coming into the game to serve again is Nathan Kerwin. Aurora 2 points away from taking set 1. Remember, you got to win by 2. Cougars, at the very least, need to get to 24 to force extra volleyball. You got 1 point of breathing room if you're CUC. Kerwin drops it over. Armstrong's there. Mosher, a dump off! Almost works out for the Cougs. Mosher, he sets for forward this time. Who drops it in? Cougs getting tricky, and it works out. They trail by 2. Aurora's 2 away.
Yeah, at this point, it's all playing smart right here. It's not trying to complicate any of those plays any longer.
Armstrong back to serve. Tosses it up. Gets it over. Brower setting across for Zuckley. Oh! And Aurora getting their best shots in when it matters. A rocket to the back corner going coast to coast. And it's now set point for S.J. Nelson. Cardenas receives. Mosher setting forward. Brannigan has it going over to Nelson. Gato keeps it up to the roof. Stella from the near side floats it over. Brower quick to Dale. And that's set 1. Aurora able to keep enough distance from the Cougs. They take set 1 by a score of 25-21. And they get off to the start they wanted, 1-0 as we head into set number 2. Aurora on top. We'll be right back on the Cougar Sports Network. Welcome back to set number 2 on the Cougar Sports Network. Aurora taking set number 1 by a score of 25-21. Cougars hanging around, but not enough to bridge the gap. As we head into the second set, Concordia will have the serve to start the set. As headed back to serve is Tyrese Armstrong. Coming out of that first set, S.J. Nelson already making a massive impact. 8 kills on a .412 hitting percentage. Looking over to the Cougs, Tate Johnson leading the squad with 4 kills to his name. As Tyrese Armstrong has the ball. He'll toss it up and send it over and long. Out of bounds. As Aurora starts this set off with a 1-0 lead. Back to serve is Logan Brower to get it going, the setter, who's had a pretty nice day so far. Brower able to get it across. Gato receives. Mosher setting over to Stella, who just drops it in. Hangs back enough to see where the block's going, splits it, and finds the gap in the middle of the court. Alex Ford on the run, drops that down. Brannigan to Brower, over to Nelson, who's off to a strong start this set. Pinpointing that to the opposite line. And it's a 2-1 lead for Aurora. Tough to do anything about a shot like that, as Connor Carroll sends that long. Nice communication on the Cougs' end to let that go. We're even at 2 as Eli Mosher heads back to serve. Mosher able to get it across. Brower setting over to Zuckley, taps it, kept up by the Cougs. Stella can't keep it in bounds.
Yeah, we start this set as just the same way that we started last set, kind of a back and forth, very good start for the Cougars, but it's also a pretty decent start for Aurora.
Johnson receives just miscommunication again on that side. Tyrese Armstrong, Tate Johnson both go for it. They're not able to get a good angle on it. It's a 2-point lead for Aurora, 4-2. Amar Burcevic, he's been relatively quiet tonight, and he sends that into the net. Cougs catch a break as J.R. Stella heads back to serve. 4-3, Cougars trailing. Stella up, over, Zuckley receives. Brower setting for Zuckley. Tipped up. There's Armstrong to Mosher, to Gudzovsky, off of Dale's head, and it's down! Leon Gudzovsky domes a man, and we're even at 4. Stella back to serve again, up, over, and out. Too much sauce. And Aurora has that 1-point lead back. S.J. Nelson with the serve again. Up. And that's long. Both of these squads putting a bit too much hot sauce on the serves in set number 2, and we're even at 5.
Feels like neither of these two teams want to take the advantage in any of these serves.
Leon Gudzovsky got his chance at the line. And there it is again. It's a 6-5 score as these two squads keep trading points.
Will we see another one?
Back for the serve is Xavier Zuckley. Zuckley spins it. Now he'll go. Received by Cardenas. Mosher setting up Armstrong through the block, kept up by Nelson, getting batted around. Aurora's able to get it over. Mosher setting for Armstrong again, just puts heat on this one. And it's too much. As that heads into the Aurora bench, they take a 2-point lead, 7-5. Zuckley sends it into the net. Cougs catch another break. 7-6 now. They trail by 1 as Tate Johnson heads back to serve. Johnson, 4 kills on the night. He's doing good on the court. At the service line, he's able to get that one over. Brower setting over to Carroll, blocked, but it goes out of bounds. Back to a 2-point lead for the Spartans as Xavier Zuckley heads back to the corner. Into the game is Reese Wojtrowski, and he'll head back to serve. Wojtrowski, one of this team's many upperclassmen, seniors on this squad, as Wojtrowski will get it across. Mosher setting over to Armstrong, and that's off the pin. Armstrong has been struggling tonight. That's his 5th error on 13 attempts. Wojtrowski with a 3-point lead, received by Kamenar. Mosher gets there. They go to Armstrong again, off the block. Zuckley passing forward to Brower, slaps it over. Gato. Mosher quick to forward, a floater, and that'll get down. Nice play from Alex Ford, and the Cougs take possession back, trailing by 2.
Yeah, it's still very early on in the set, but this is where they have to make a difference. This is where they want to really shorten that gap as much as possible, and so that they don't go into the last part with a huge gap.
Armstrong, a lot of heat on that one. Long reception up at the line, and it'll drop down. Cougars miscommunicate. Ford and Stella don't know who's going for it. And it's back to a 3-point lead, 10-7 Aurora, as Logan Brower heads back to serve. Brower will toss it up, gets it across. Armstrong to Mosher, setting Stella. Floater kept up by Brower. Nelson slips. Aurora's able to survive again. Mosher passing to Stella, able to reach back for it, and again Aurora keeps it up. Mosher, this time going back to Ford on the run! Big shot, eats up Brannigan. Aurora showing off some fantastic defense and adaptability. Cougars able to press the advantage through for a point this time. 2-point deficit, 8-10, as Alex Ford will send it over. Brower setting for Nelson on the run, a floater. A beautiful drop in the bucket from S.J. Nelson. It's back to a 3-point lead.
Yeah, the Cougars have definitely tried to complicate the game for Aurora. They have at times, but right now, currently, they're trailing by about 3 points, yeah.
Mosher setting for Armstrong on the run, but he gets on top of it and sends it into the net. It's back to a 4-point lead for Aurora, matching their largest on the day in any set. Carroll on the run, gets it across, long reception for Armstrong. Mosher just slaps it across. Brower setting for Nelson, who pushes it over, but it's out of bounds. S.J. Nelson almost a tricky shot. And the Cougars catch a break with a 3-point deficit. Eli Mosher will head back to serve. Mosher gets it across. Zuckley to Brower, setting Berzovic, and that eats up Mosher. Into the game is Nathan Kerwin. He'll head back to serve as they sub out Amar Berzovic. Kerwin's had a solid night at the service line. Ball's up. Way too much on that one from Nathan Kerwin. It heads out of bounds. Cougars get another break. We're hovering around that 3-point deficit spot again as J.R. Stella will head back to serve. Stella across. Long reception from Zuckley. He sets back for Nelson, who drills that to the back row.
Nelson has just been incredible all night. It's now it's a 4-point lead, and the Cougars really are hoping that they don't make it a 5-point lead right here.
Nelson gets it across. That's a long reception. Mosher keeps it over. Armstrong over the block. Brannigan's there. Brower tries to slam it down. Mosher setting for Johnson. Blocked, out of bounds. Point Cougars. And the table judge is going to go talk to the official. Dan Ames immediately sending him over, and they're going to try and get this call changed.
I don't know. I think it was a Cougars point.
There's a chance that Coach Ames wants something with the Cougars going across the line into the net, and they're going to give it to him. Spartans take the point, so it's up to a 5-point lead now for Aurora. Nelson gets it across. Cardenas pancakes at Mosher, setting Johnson. Blocked down again. And Aurora is feeling it. 6-point lead for the Spartans as Greg Manos takes another timeout. He's going to try and get his squad back on track. We'll take a break here at the Cougar Sports Network. We'll be back in just a minute. And we're back on the Cougar Sports Network. Aurora starting to go on a bit of a run. They've got a 3-0 run, 6-point lead over the Cougars, 16-10, as S.J. Nelson sends it away again. Kept up by Armstrong. Mosher setting all the way back for Johnson. Rejected, but it's out of bounds. That's exactly what you want out of the timeout. You run the set piece, you get the point, and headed back to serve is Leon Godzowski. Godzowski gets it across. Brannigan receives. Brower setting Dale. A quick trigger. Able to drop that in the middle of the court. And it's back to a 6-point lead. Xavier Zuckley headed back to serve.
Yeah, it's truly getting complicated for the Cougars right here. 6-point lead is not exactly what you want in this set.
Zuckley will toss it up and send it over. Kamenar receives. Mosher setting all the way over to Armstrong, who is rejected in a big way by Solomon Dale. Seven-point lead now for the Spartans. Scores 18-11. Zuckley. It's an ace. It eats up Michael Cardenas. And Aurora starting to cruise their way through set number 2.
One thing I got to point out about Aurora is Solomon Dale is having a fantastic night with 6 blocks already.
Zuckley received by Kamenar. It's a long reception. It'll be a set piece. They set up Dale. Kept up by the Cougs. Mosher going to set back for Johnson, who's blocked. And it's off his head and out of bounds. Greg Manos going to take his second timeout. His team trailing by 9. Alfredo, Cougars in a big hole right now. I got a kind of twofold question for you. What do you think the Cougars can do to maybe pull off a comeback in this set? And then regardless of if they're able to pull it off or not, what do you think they can still get out of this set at this point?
Well, I mean, if you compare the first set with the current set, the second set right now, you see that they've stopped doing a lot of things that they did in the first set. The errors, that's one thing that they started doing again, and that they had evaded the whole entire first set, which is why it was such a close one. This time, I just really see Solomon Dale completely dominating when it comes to the blocks. I see that Tate Johnson over by the Cougars doing a fantastic job, but it's just not enough. I don't see how they can really come back. It's too big of a gap, but I think that what they can do is really polish those errors that they have been making this specific set.
Hopefully we'll see what they can do as they head back out onto the court. Aurora leading 20-11. They're on a 4-0 scoring run as Xavier Zuckley will head back over to the service line. Zuckley getting set. He'll toss it up and drill it long. So you get what you're looking for out of the timeout. You get the service error, brings a point back over to the Cougs. So now you have Tate Johnson headed back for the serve in an 8-point hole. Johnson into the net, not what you're looking for. At this point in the set, sends it back over to Aurora. 21-12, and with a 9-point lead, Reese Wojtrowski will head back to serve. Wojtrowski, a lot of sauce on that one. Mosher setting for Ford on the run, and that'll get down. I haven't been able to get the opportunity to use it too much. When they're able to get Alex Ford on that swing, it has looked amazing. Cougars get it back with an 8. Tyrese Armstrong back to serve. J.R. Stella back out on the court. Armstrong into the net.
Yeah, not particularly a great night for Tyrese Armstrong. 7 errors so far, but
back to serve now is Logan Brower. Brower had a bit of a rough night at the service line, especially as of late. He'll toss it up and send it over. Gato to Mosher, setting for Ford. A toe tapper kept up, passing for Nelson. He floats it, and he finds no man's land. The back row leaving a hole in the middle of the court. And it's a 10-point lead for the Spartans as Logan Brower heads back to serve. Brower up and over again. Cardenas to Mosher. Setting up Stella! The Rocket going coast to coast. And he finally gets an opportunity to get a shot off. Cougars looking to get a few more plays in set number 2 as Alex Ford will head back to serve. Up and to the bottom of the net. Dome Stella on the recoil. And the Cougars maybe trying to get out of set number 2 as soon as possible. Another service error as Connor Carroll sends that over. Armstrong to Mosher, setting Gudzowski, blocked up, slammed down, kept up by Armstrong. Stella from mid-range floats it across. Brannigan setting up Nelson. Would have been out. Armstrong keeps it in. Cardenas passes that to the middle court. Gato sends it over. Brower to Carroll on the run. Mosher setting back. Armstrong on the run, and it eats up Brannigan into the bleachers.
That's exactly what you want to see from the Cougars. Closing the gap a little bit just so that it doesn't seem like such a huge loss for this set. But, I mean, they still have time. They still have more that they can offer.
Brower setting up Zuckley. Cardenas gets it. Nelson, had the opportunity to reject it and end it there. He sends it wide. And the Cougs stay alive. Biggest thing, like you mentioned, this set you can build some confidence, work out some of those wriggles at this point. Mosher gets it across. Brannigan to Brower, setting Zuckley off the block. Armstrong's there. Mosher setting over to Sella. It's a long set. It's tipped at the line. He rejects it again. Tests him once, kill him the second time.
Yeah, we're seeing the Cougars finish off this set the same way that they played the whole entire first set, just pure quality.
Mosher gets that one across. Brannigan to Brower, setting Berzovic, kept up by Mosher. Stella slapping that up for Johnson, who just passes it across. Zuckley ends it there, drilling it to the back corner. And that'll do it. Aurora taking set number 2 by a score of 25-17. A dominant performance from the number 12 team in the nation. We head to set number 3. Aurora will look to close it out. Cougars will look to start to pull off a miracle when we come back on the Cougar Sports Network. Welcome back to the Cougar Sports Network. Get ready for set number 3 between the Cougars and the Spartans. Aurora out to a 2-set lead, 2-0, looking to finish off the sweep in set number 3. Cougars looking to start to pull off the miracle comeback. We haven't seen a reverse sweep from the Cougars all season long. They would love to pull off their first tonight. Aurora getting some strong performance so far. S.J. Nelson, 12 kills on a .375 hitting percentage through the first 2 sets. Like you mentioned during that last set, Alfredo, Solomon Dale, a fantastic 7 blocks on the day so far over on the Cougars end. Alex Ford and Tate Johnson with 5 kills apiece as they look pretty solid on the front line. We get ready to go. Aurora will have the serve to start set number 3. Once we get things going, both teams' liberos getting subbed into the match. And headed back to serve for Aurora will be Logan Brower, it appears. Yeah, Brower headed back to the service line. He's been up and down at the line started strong, had a bit of a rough stretch towards the end of set 1, start of set 2, found a little bit of that groove again towards the back end of what was a dominant set 2 win by 8 points. They'll look to keep that mojo going to start off set 3. Brower ends it across. Armstrong, iffy reception. Stella from the mid-range eats up Brannigan, and it drops back out of bounds on the opposite side of the net. A great start for the Cougs.
Yeah, one of the things that the Cougars are going to have to polish that they did, that they kind of closed the last set pretty well, but the communication is something that they're going to really want to work on, because they did great in the first set, and then in the second set, there was a few of those floaters that they just didn't communicate well enough, and it cost them big.
Connor Carroll back to serve now for Aurora, tied 1-1. Mosher setting Stella. He floats that one. S.J. Nelson seeming to hang out there forever, and he rejects it. 2-1 lead for Aurora. Carroll off the net. Gato passing to Mosher. He dumps it off. Eli Mosher, a heads-up play. He shouts out his man Van Gato for the pass, and we're tied up at 2. 2-2, Eli Mosher back for the serve. Ball's up and in. Oh, how about that? Mosher with an ace. I'm not sure if that was perfectly on the line or it even had some spin on it. Zuckley looked confident. That was headed out of bounds. It landed in bounds. Not even on the line. Fully within the court. That set up for Zuckley. He tries to slam it down. It's off the net. Cougars block it down. And suddenly, the Cougs with a 2-point lead. It's 4-2 CUC. Eli Mosher looking to keep the hot hand rolling. Up and over. Brower setting for Berzovic. Cardenas setting Stella mid-range. Brower, this time he goes back for Nelson off the block. Cardenas keeps it up. Mosher, Stella again trying to go coast to coast. They go back for Nelson through the block, and Mosher can't handle it. Nice defense from both squads. Aurora wins out. They shorten that gap back to 1 at 4-3. As Amar Berzovic heads back to serve. Up and over. Cardenas receives. Mosher setting for Godzowski, a quick trigger. Long reception. They go back to Zuckley. Aurora just slapping it across. Mosher setting Godzowski. They keep it up again. Godzowski tries to reject again. Aurora showing off the defensive chops, and Zuckley finishes it for the Spartans. How about that defense from Aurora to keep that ball off the ground?
Absolutely, intensity levels at its peak right now.
Mosher setting over to Sella on the right side, off the net, can't keep it up. And Aurora back in front, 5-4.
Cougars have a very small margin of error. They know that if they don't win this set, it's pretty much over for the entire game.
Well, if they don't win this set, it is over for the entire game, as that would be 3 sets for Aurora. Nathan Kerwin back to serve. Received by Armstrong. Mosher setting Godzowski. It's off the net, it's down. How about that from Leon Godzowski? So now into the game for the first time tonight is Marcin Hoffman. Hoffman got a lot of playing time in reinforcement of those injuries, as there's a nice shot from Solomon Dale, the back row, back to a 1-point lead for Aurora. Nelson up and over. Armstrong receives. Mosher. Quick set to Godzowski. Oh, watch out. No opposition at the net, and we're tied back up at 6.
Very, very close game right now. Probably one of the most interesting sets we've seen so far.
Yeah, it's going to be a very exciting set 3 Gudzovsky up, over. Brannigan takes it. Brower setting Zuckley, blocked and out of bounds. Able to get enough spin and speed on it. As these teams continue to trade points, Aurora holding a 1-point lead as Xavier Zuckley will take the serve again. Zuckley over, long reception from Cardenas, and Carroll eats it up. Six to 8. Zuckley, this is the largest lead Aurora's had this set, and he's going to look to extend it. Hoffman receives, it's another long reception. Miscommunication, but it works out. Dale going over the net and into the net. So the Cougars get the benefit of the error, bring it back to a 1-point game, and Tate Johnson heads back to serve. Up, over. Brannigan to Brower, setting over to Carroll, off the block and out of bounds. So these 1-point trade-offs will continue. Aurora now going to be hovering around that 2-point lead. Starting to feel a bit like that first set. Cougars were able to hang with the Spartans, but weren't able to close the gap. Reese Wojtrowski back for the serve. Off the net. Armstrong gets it up. Mosher setting forward on the run. Floater kept up. Brower to Wojtrowski. He sets a long one for Nelson. Hoffman receives it. A dump off from Mosher. Nelson keeps it up. He's going to go for a shot again. Cardenas shoves it over. Miscommunication. S.J. Nelson was on a defensive heater, and it looked like he wanted to keep it going. Might have been his ball, whatever it was. Miscommunication between him and Berdzovich as he jumps in front of Amar. But it works out for the Cougs, back to a 1-point game as Tyrese Armstrong heads back to serve. Up and long. Another error for Tyrese Armstrong as he has had a rough night out there. Back to a 2-point lead, 10 to 8 in favor of Aurora. In total, 10 errors included across all different error categories for Tyrese Armstrong tonight. Mosher setting somebody as he's yelling at his guys. No one was there. And it's back to a 3-point lead for Aurora, 11 to 8.
Cougars are really going to hope that this is not like the second set in which they were keeping up and then suddenly there was a gigantic gap.
Brower into the net. That'll help. Logan Brower, another service error. So Alex Ford headed back with a chance to serve. Tosses it up, sends it into the net himself. These two squads trading those service errors. Ford clapping those hands in frustration. Like you mentioned earlier, Alfredo, those were going to be key to this game. Cougars playing very clean in set number 1. Got a bit messier for both of these teams in set number 3. Another service error for the Spartans. 3 straight across both of these squads. 12 to 10. Aurora holding a 2-point lead. Eli Mosher back to serve. Ball's up and over. Zuckley receives. Brower, a falling set for Zuckley! And it's off of Gudzovsky's head and down for the kill. Into the game to serve is Nathan Kerwin. He got a 3-point lead at his back, 13 to 10. As Aurora will take a moment to clean up the court. Kerwin sent it into the sent it long his last time at the line. This time it's received by Armstrong. Mosher setting for Armstrong from the back row. Watch out! A laser to the line. Tyrese Armstrong picks up his 6th kill. Brings it back to a 2-point gap as Marcin Hoffman heads back to serve.
And that's the Tyrese Armstrong that the Cougars like to see. Just the one taking all of that power and putting it into that ball.
That shot from Zuckley tipped and out of bounds. Back to a 3-point lead. Nelson will take the serve. 14-11 Aurora as we just crossed that halfway point of set number 3. Armstrong receives. Mosher will set for Armstrong, who just grabs it. And Aurora is able to get it back over. Mosher setting for Gudzovsky this time, and he drops a bomb to the back row. 14-12 lead now for Aurora. That 2-point gap, the Cougars, they're hovering around there, staying close. Feels a bit like Achilles and the Tortoise, little philosophy or math reference either. I don't know. Zeno, ancient Greek guy. You can close the distance, but you're never actually going to cross the guy in front. Achilles is never going to catch up to the Tortoise. Almost feels like that's what's happening with the Cougars tonight. They can stay close with Aurora, but they can't actually get there. They can't actually catch them.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw that in the first set, and now we're seeing that again in this third set.
But the Cougars, they're going to get within one, 13-14.
Hey, we might be wrong. They might be able to pass them.
Gudzovsky back to serve. Up, over. Brower setting for Nelson on the run. Blocked over, but they're into the net, and that heads back over to the Spartans. (13-15). Zuckley sends it across. Long reception for Hoffman. Mosher for 40. Hangs up there. He's able to get it over. Carroll coming in on it. Mosher. Cardenas setting back for Armstrong. Nelson sends it straight up. Brower passing to the middle of the court. Zuckley passes it across. Mosher. Cardenas. He'll set long for Johnson. It's off the block. Kept up. This time Brower's going to go for Nelson. And that's down. Nelson picks up another one. He's got it back at a 3-point lead, 16-13. Xavier Zuckley, he's looked great at the service line the last 2 sets. And that time, he just is a step behind, tossing it up late. He crosses the back line. A very rare line violation for the service error. In general, you don't see those too often. It's back to a 2-point game. Johnson with the serve. Drops it in. It's back set for Nelson. Has to pass it across. Johnson. Mosher. Ford on the run! Watch out! Alex Ford, a beauty. And it's back within 1.
Yeah, Ford having a fantastic night. I believe that's his 6th kill of the night. And you do see that with the Cougars, their kills are a lot more distributed with Alexander Ford, Leon Gudzovsky, Tyrese Armstrong, and Tate Johnson.
Solomon Dale off the net. Johnson keeps it up. Mosher passing it middle. Cardenas has to just send it over. Brower, he's going to go for Carroll to the back row. Hoffman's there. Mosher setting all the way over for Armstrong. A floater. Brower setting back for Nelson. All the way to the back. Hoffman's there. Mosher, this time for Johnson from the mid-range. Off the block. Zuckley. Brower. Nelson on the run! And it's blocked out of bounds by Armstrong. Armstrong's been getting up on those, but he hasn't been getting the right angle. It looks like he's just so focused on it, just getting an arm on it, that he's positioned, even facing out of bounds. And Nelson's been able to take advantage of that to the tune of what is now 16 kills. Wojtrowski sends it over. Mosher Setting Armstrong. This time he's just going to send it long. And it's back to a 3-point lead.
Yeah, this Aurora team really depends on a lot on S.J. Nelson. He pretty much does half of the work of this team.
Mosher setting forward, dropping a missile on Reese Wojciechowski into the bleachers, and it's back within 2. Yeah, and on the stat sheet you see that, and yeah, S.J. Nelson, he's got double the kills of the next closest player. A lot of that supporting cats. Xavier Zuckley's really stood out to me tonight. Great at the service line, great on the attack. Defensively, he has looked amazing. But here's S.J. Nelson. Gato's there. Cardenas passing for Hoffman, having to reach back for it. Brower going for Carroll, floating into the back row. Gato gives Armstrong time to get there, and Hoffman just not enough on it. And it's back to a 3-point game, 19-16.
No, absolutely. Like you mentioned, Xavier Zuckley has been absolutely fantastic, too. We got to give him his flowers. He's done great. It's just, you know, when you look at the stat sheet, it kind of gets lost there, but he has been fantastic this whole entire night and very important for Aurora.
Off the net. Mosher setting over to Hoffman. Rejected by Connor Carroll. Aurora, a 4-point lead, their largest of the set, as they crack 20. Up and over, Cardenas receives. Mosher setting back for Ford, blocked, but it's out of bounds. Alex Ford able to pick up that shot, get the Cougs back within 3. They have been hovering here for a while now. They've gotten to 1 point. Just haven't been able to cross that gap. Alex Ford up, over. Dwyer setting for Berzovic, and he drops a laser of his own on the Cougars. Back to a 4-point lead. Carroll serves it over. Mosher setting Gudzovsky. Looking like he's on the basketball court in March Madness. Almost a 90-degree angle on that spike. 3-point lead for Aurora. Mosher at the service line. Zuckley to Dwyer. Back to Zuckley. Blocked, but it's out of bounds. The angles have been played beautifully on the edge by Aurora all night long. Cougars haven't been able to straighten out those blocks.
Yeah, we've gotten to that defining point of this set where we will pretty much see if the Cougars can pull off a miracle or if it's just going to go for Aurora.
Kerwin back for the serve. Up. Off the net. Gudzovsky to Mosher to Gudzovsky. And that'll get down. Nice awareness from Leon Gudzovsky to recognize the short serve as soon as he gets to the net and get that play going. 3-point deficit. Aurora's 3 points away from winning the match. Dwyer setting for Dale, but he puts too much on it. It's out the back line, and the Cougs are within 2. Solomon Dale. I don't think that one dropped a bit to the back line. Just didn't get enough of a downward angle on it. Hoffman back to serve. Up. Over. Dwyer setting back for Nelson. Blocked. This time Dwyer setting Dale. Cardenas is there. Mosher setting for Armstrong. Off the block into the bleachers. Now here we are again, Alfredo. Cougs within 1. It's 21-22.
Absolutely, and the Cougars could dream. The Cougars can actually dream that this might be the miracle that they're hoping for. And we could go into the 4th set right now.
And there it is. Dan Ames is going to call the timeout. Minute to go. Winning this set alone, not the miracle. The miracle, just because in general those reverse sweeps are so rare, would be the reverse sweep, especially against a team as good as Aurora. Starts with 1 set, like you said. You make it to set 4, take it a set at a time. Right now, the Cougars doing a very good job of just staying in it. Now, Aurora, they haven't had their starting 6 out there. They've got Logan Brower on the bench for the first time tonight. We'll see if Dan Ames wants to get his best men back out on the court just to close out the match. A 3-set sweep on the road would be a big confidence boost to a team that's on a 3-game slide. Remember, the Cougars, they would love a confidence boost against a team this good. Got a big win against Lakeland on Friday, but they've struggled in the games before that. Even a set win against a team this good would, you take a little bit of something out of this game.
Yeah, but even if they don't win the set, I would say that they've done a great job throughout this entire game. Maybe a little bit less in set 2, but they've put up a fight against Aurora, which is an absolutely incredible team.
Hoffman back to serve. Zuckley to Dwyer, setting back for Nelson. And again, Armstrong just can't straighten out the block. 17th kill of the night for S.J. Nelson. Back to a 2-point lead, 23-21. As Logan Brower comes back into the game. Greg Manos going to take the timeout this time. We'll take a break on the Cougar Sports Network. We'll be back in just a minute. Welcome back to set number 3. It's a 23-21 Aurora lead, up by 2. They're only 2 away from taking the night. And finishing it off in a 3-set sweep. S.J. Nelson back for the serve. Up, over, Cardenas receives. Mosher setting up Armstrong through the block. Pancaked by Nelson. It goes over to Zuckley. Tipped up, Cardenas keeps it up. Gudzovsky passing for Armstrong, blocked down. Cardenas is there. Mosher setting for Johnson. Rejected, but it's out of bounds, and the Cougs are back within 1. 22-23, Gudzovsky headed back to serve. Cougars have been at this 1-point deficit a lot in this set. They haven't been able to even it up or get past that hill. And Dan Ames is going to take his final timeout. Alfredo, what kind of plays do you want to see out of the Cougars here in the last couple points?
What I would say is that I want to see them make those serves the best possible, and then those kills that they've been having all game. With Tyrese Armstrong, I want him to improve a little, polish a little bit of those blocks, because that's something that if he just polishes, we could actually win this entire set and have a chance in the next set. He really has, it's just a little bit, it's just a little mistake that is causing this whole entire thing to change.
Yeah, I mean, we're really getting the best and worst of Tyrese Armstrong tonight. 6 kills on the night. He's looked great when it's working out. On the other end of that, 8 attacking errors. So pretty much night or day with Tyrese Armstrong. It's a binary experiment tonight with Armstrong. It's going to work out, or it's going to go as bad as it can possibly go. That being an attacking error, free point. Hasn't been all bad from him, though. He's had some great moments, especially coming off the back row. Cougs would love to see him get hot in the last couple points like he did at the end of set 2.
Yeah, I would say he's probably one of the most involved players.
Back to serve. with a 1-point deficit. 22-23 is Ildu Damasino. Gets it down! Well, how about that? An ace! I'm not sure what happened defensively from Aurora. The whole team just shuffling their feet when they let it drop down on the opposite corner. Damasino an ace on his first attempt. We're tied at 23, and this time he sends it into the net. So it's match point, 24-23. There's another binary experiment. Is it going to come out an ace or a service error? Almost like the two true outcomes of baseball, a homer or a strikeout. And Coach Greg Manos, here, like you say, can't take him with you. He's going to use that last time out. With match point, we'll take a quick look at those stats as we get ready for what could be the final point of the night. Again, S.J. Nelson, 17 kills on the night. A new high on the season for him in a 3-set game. If it does end up a 3-set game, Cougars would like to push it to 4. Xavier Zuckley, 9 kills on a .304 hitting percentage. He's got 3 blocks, 8 digs. Solomon Dale, only 4 kills, but 7 blocks for the big man. On the Cougars end, Alex Ford and Leon Godzovsky with 8 kills apiece. On some great attacking percentages from those two as well. 471 for Ford, 727 for Godzovsky, being very efficient when they get the opportunity to get a swing on it. Tyrese Armstrong, 6 kills with those 8 errors like we've talked about. And then Eli Mosher on the night, 29 assists, 13 digs, and an ace. The setter having another fantastic game. As back to serve is Xavier Zuckley. Zuckley has been great from the service line. He could end it here. Cardenas receives. Mosher setting forward. Nelson's there. Brower going to Carroll. Blocked. Nelson there again. This time they go to Dale. Blocked, but it's out of bounds. And the Spartans take it. A 3-set sweep for Aurora. They come in and cruise past to the Cougars to get back on the right side of the winning column. Cougars stay winless against the Spartans as they drop another one in conference, moving to 3-6 in NAC play. Aurora moving back up to 8-2 in what is a very close race in seeds 2 through 4 in the playoff seeding. Cougars evened up at 3-6 with a lot of teams fighting for that 8th spot in the playoffs. Alfredo, looking over at Aurora, who's your player of the game for the Spartans?
Well, I think there's only one player of the game for Aurora, and that's S.J. Nelson. But you do have to give Xavier Zuckley his flowers for just a fantastic game. But, yeah, it has to be S.J. Nelson.
That's S.J. Nelson, a fantastic game. Solomon Dale, 7 blocks. A great night for the blocker out on the court. The Spartans, they head back home to Aurora this Saturday to take on Edgewood University to try and continue a winning streak to close out their conference season. Cougars, they'll get a chance to get back on the win column, but it'll be another tough matchup, this time going on the road to take on nationally ranked number 15 Milwaukee School of Engineering this Saturday at 1. You can get caught up on everything you missed at cucougars.com. They'll follow that up with a road trip at the Illinois Institute of Technology before a home game against Marion to close out their conference season. That'll do it tonight on the Cougar Sports Network. Aurora comes in and sweeps the Cougars in River Forest 3-0 as the Cougars drop to 3-6 in conference play. That'll do it tonight on the Cougar Sports Network. I'm Jonathan Shear. Joining me tonight was Alfredo Jaramillo Ruiz. Thank you for joining us, and as always, roll Cougs.
So much for tuning in to today's Concordia University Chicago Cougars Athletics broadcast. We hope to see you on campus very soon. If you would like to learn more about what Concordia Chicago has to offer, go to cuchicago.edu.